Hello, hello, hello. Welcome. I am so excited to be here today. I won't be able to cover it. My professionalism may be questionable today, but I cannot wait to get started. Welcome to everyone to KopEnd Khanage. Should hopefully become a bit of a weekly routine for you now. Grizz, we're starting to get into the groove of things now, right? On a weekly basis here.
Yeah, man. And you know what? I don't want to speak too early. I don't want to speak too early, and I don't want to speak too positively. But yeah, our record's quite good so far, man. New show, few doubts about the team, the squad, and we thought, are we gonna have happy faces every Monday? Is it gonna be gloomy Mondays? I don't know, man. At the moment, it's like manic Mondays, man. So let's just hope it continues. Let's just hope it continues.
Yeah, man. And I am, of course, joined by the KopEnd legends that are Krish and Manny. Krish, how are we feeling today, my boy?
I only feel like I'm now coming down off the dopamine from yesterday. Honestly, I don't think anything does it more than a Darwin Nunez goal, let alone a Darwin Nunez double. But yeah, I'm more good, man. I'm looking forward to chatting it up with a few of my favourites. So yeah, can't wait to get going.
And making his debut today, but with no doubts in terms of what he's going to produce, is my brother Manny. Manny, how you doing, man?
Yeah, I'm doing well. Obviously, good to be with you guys, and yeah, what a day to do it as well after a great result. So yeah, I'm excited to have a chat about with you lot.
Brilliant. So the first thing, of course, I want to welcome everyone in the comment section. It was lively, it was international, it was local, it was a bit of everything. So, like we started last time, if you want to give your city and country that you're tuning in from, we'd love to know where the wavelengths are touching today. And whilst you're doing that, some people are already saying it. You should be smashing the likes. You should be subscribing to Carnage. You should be subscribing to KopEnd. It's going to be a big one. But the first thing I want to do, guys, is I know we're going to talk about the story of the game and do all of this logical analysis. But let's get visceral a bit and let's just talk about our emotions. When that second goal went in, Grizz, where were you? What was happening? What was the pandemonium? What was it looking like at that very moment?
So first and foremost, I'm a. Is weakling a word? I know we've said it all our lives, but is it an actual word? Weakling.
Yeah, I think
Someone
so.
a weakling. Is it a real word?
Yeah. I think so.
Weakling. It's not in the dictionary.
Let me Oxford Dictionary that.
Oh,
You
man,
carry on
listen,
whilst I
this,
jump
man.
on the Oxford
No,
Dictionary.
but I'm a weakling in it. That's what I was gonna say, but I'm not sure if it's a word, man. A grown-ass man using a non-word from the dictionary, it might just come off a bit bad. But if there's such a word as a weakling, because we all grew up using weakling, right? Oh, you're a weakling, man. But I'm a weakling because I had tickets to this game, and up until Saturday afternoon, I was contemplating, am I gonna do this? Because Newcastle away is one of the most toughest, longest enduring aways you can get. And if you win, it's one of the most amazing feelings. But if you lose, it's one of those, it takes a whole week to recover, bro. And the man of my age and situations, man, family situations. Bro, I'm telling you now, when it's like a Mount Kilimanjaro climb to go and sit up in the stands in Newcastle. It's peak. It's mad. So I didn't know if I was physically capable and physically ready and mentally. Because Newcastle away right now, let's be real, guys. Newcastle away for me is probably top 5 hardest aways in possibly Europe. Man,
it's a cauldron right now.
Absolutely.
It's a cauldron, man, and especially if that coincides with the state we're in, and we get into the state we're in because I think it's a bit of a false perception like people have got of Liverpool. We're actually unbeaten in 14. You know what I mean? But we're gonna probably get into that. I just thought I haven't got the kahunas. I thought I didn't think we're gonna win. I was confident of not losing, and I just thought I'm not gonna go. I regret it massively. So I watched it in the comfort of my living room with a cup of tea and a couple of samosas, as you do.
As you do, yeah.
And I'm not gonna lie. I'm not the jumping around, smashing ceilings anymore. I laughed. I laughed. Just one of those ones where you just laugh like a madman.
Yeah,
like,
it was a bellow more than a laugh.
No, what are you supposed to do when that
Mr. Burns style, yeah?
When Liverpool does that to you, what are you supposed to do? You're just supposed to laugh, innit? I just laughed. I smiled. The first one was a smile and laugh, yeah. The second one, I just laughed like a madman, and everyone's looking at me like, uh-oh. He's finally lost it. Like, we knew he was on the verge of losing it.
Yeah.
Today, he's finally lost it. Bro, I just laughed. I smiled. And it just, then slowly, the warmth in my heart started to get hotter and hotter. And I couldn't, as Chris says, he's down. He says he's coming off the hype. I'm not. I'm still buzzing, bro.
You're still surfing it, yeah?
I can't explain how humongous that was. But I'm sure we're going to get into it.
Awesome. Manny, what about you? What were the settings for that Darwin winner?
Well, yeah, I was with the boys, obviously watching the game. Had a few different supporters there from Arsenal, for Chelsea fans. So it was nice to. Obviously, that was the big game of the weekend. So
with the ops, yeah,
the ops are there, man. So it was a pressurized situation, and it was a very tough first 30 minutes. Put it that way, win them all around. Like, you think there was pressure in the stadium. I was in pressure in that room. I felt like I was in the cauldron myself. So had to keep the cool. Had to keep it humble and. Yeah, we had the laugh in the end. So in the end, it was a very, very great setting to be in. Awesome.
And Krish, what about you, man?
I had the house to myself.
Oh, that's the best.
This is the thing. It's like Liverpool games. I turn into a different type of person. I'm so laid back, mellow, and for 90 minutes, depending on extra time per week, I turn into this just absolute insane person. So I had the house to myself. The gaffers in Greece. Everyone else was either out the house or at work, so I could just sit and I could really enjoy the absolute maniac that I become during those 90 minutes of watching the mighty boys in red play football. And similar to Grizz, honestly, when the first goal went in, I just started cackling. Honestly, this evil laugh just departed my soul. And then when the second one came out, I think I ended up in the garden at one point. That was just absolutely insane. What this sport can do to you is just something else. It's
what this team can do to you.
Yeah, what this team can do. Like we this is a recreational activity that we do to take our minds off the stresses of life, and yet our blood pressure goes up every single time we watch them. And I wouldn't change it for the world.
Definitely, I couldn't agree more. And I guess if anyone's wondering, because last week I got some pelters from Grizz all the way through the comments that I was running off to sunny Spain, not braving up and watching the lads. Well, guess what? I had an 8-hour delay. Whether I wanted to or not, I had to watch the game from the airport for the first half. We then boarded the plane and we were delayed for the further hour.
So you only watched the first half? So you...
No, listen. And then the second half, the pilot announced that we got on the plane. He said, I can't turn the engine on for an hour. So against my will, I had to watch the second half. And all I can say is there hasn't been a bigger scream on a plane in ages. Yeah.
Yeah. Hope you didn't get in trouble for that shit, man. Come on.
Air Marshal just pops out of his seat.
Asian man with a beard screaming shit on a plane. Bro, ain't sounding too...
A Muslim man on a plane with a lot to say. It wasn't looking good, but listen.
Man, that could have turned long for you.
It could have, but look, I felt like Krish when he didn't realize what he was doing. I found myself jumping and holding someone else's child of the passenger next to me. And a lovely Northern Irish little toddler had a lovely moment then, and that will stay long with me. So anyway, as I know, I can see some amazing comments about everyone else's high, and keep going. I just want to keep seeing how it felt at that moment, right? But let's talk about the atmosphere of the game a bit, because we were nervous. There was a lot of caution and negativity last week, understandably so, because Newcastle had been looking good. But I would say the big thing is Liverpool having a bit of a tough transition and Newcastle really growing as a club with their investment. Manny, it's becoming a bit of a head-to-head now, isn't it? Newcastle are really mixing it in with these big boys at probably a pace a few years earlier than we thought.
Absolutely. And to be fair, it's one of them ones with Newcastle. I think everyone straight away you'd think, okay, they're going to throw a lot of money at it. They're going to be competing. Everyone got the fear quite early, but I think realistically it was going to take a few years. But as you mentioned there, they kind of speed tracked the process. I think obviously comes to the caveat with also a few teams dropping down. They're taking advantage, which is great. But I believe the crowd and the size of the club has really as well propelled them into this area that they're in at the minute. And honestly, like going to St. James's Park at the minute, obviously we are lucky enough to play at Anfield, which is a wonderful stadium. And I think we always kind of take for granted sometimes that we don't actually get to play at Anfield against Liverpool. Obviously, we're Liverpool, we don't have that situation. So that Newcastle game, honestly, I felt after 30 minutes, I was like, is this what these guys go through, really? Like it was a real change of pace, honestly.
The Apple Watch was saying exercise commenced, yeah?
Honestly, I had that deep breathing, had to start giving out to really. It was a situation I haven't been, but yeah, honestly, I think even Man City, like I said, I don't think I'm as scared. Obviously, they're a great team, but in terms of being pressurized, like constant pressure, crowd, everything, I don't think there's a stage I'm liking the Premier League at the moment. So it was, yeah, really, really tough place to go at the moment. So yeah, big result. Anyone that gets a result there.
Yeah. And Grizz, I guess I'm going to link it to what Klopp said a week or two ago about someone said about something about Klopp on the touchline, and he said they said the rules are getting stricter, and he said, don't worry about me. This is going to be a bigger problem for Newcastle. And that's because Jason Tindall and Eddie Howe like to spout off a bit, and they've got a bit of a lively bench. They're it's all, to me, it's like a chihuahua, isn't it? What's going on with that rowdy bench?
But Mush, tell me something. Unless I'm mistaken, guys, I don't know. I don't get it. Like, it's a false rivalry. There's no rivalry with Liverpool, Newcastle.
They haven't won anything for 70 years, bro.
So then I found out today the record of Jurgen Klopp versus Eddie Howe. 11 wins in a row. Right, so Eddie Howe, no problem.
3 St. James's win in a row as well.
3 St. James's wins in a row, right? So no problem. Eddie Howe is a Premier League manager. Eddie Howe is a reputable manager. He's done a fantastic job at Bournemouth previously and now Newcastle, right? So fair play to him. If he wants to talk smoke with a manager of Jurgen Klopp's level, no problem. He's building his profile. Happens. All young great coaches have to have a battle in their career where it sets them off. Do you get what I mean?
You got to mark your territory a bit, right?
Who the fuck's Tyndall?
Yeah.
What is he?
Who are you, bro? Like, I heard about his record. He's got some non-dead record. I can't remember the team he managed or coached. You're just a meme. You're a gif. And you're a leech. Why are you talking? How are you shushing a man of Jurgen Klopp's caliber? The disrespect to shush a man during a game when passions are running out. Manny says that was like Anfield, what we imagine Anfield to be.
Yeah.
Like a feverish ground, passions are running out. Jurgen Klopp's just got a man sent off, goal down. Jurgen Klopp, and you're shushing a man. Who the are you to shush Jurgen Klopp? And you know what I mean? Then you got to pay for it, bro. And all the memes and gifts and everything, everyone's that's slaughtering him and taking the piss out of him. He deserves it. Because I think there was levels of disrespect that, you know what I mean? He shouldn't be involved in. You're a no one, ever. Yeah. And you won't be no one. Eddie Howe's got the potential to be a very, very good coach. Very good coach. I have got a lot of time for Eddie Howe. And you don't really hear him talk trash.
Yeah, he's a very calm person, isn't he, Eddie Howe?
The other one, he's just involved in everything, man. Like, bro, man, go get back to Essex Sunbeds, man.
Cool. So let's go into the game itself, and we'll start off with the lineup. We'll try and be brisk because I really want to talk about what happened with the game. Krish, I'll cover off the different bits with you and just get your thoughts. Obviously, we had Endo starting his first game. We had Gakpo moving from the midfield in the first 2 games to moving into the false 9. And then because of that, we subsequently saw Jota benched. What did you think overall as a setup in terms of that selection of players for the lineup? Oh, and of course, Konate's injury, meaning that Matip came in.
Yeah, the Khanage soft tissue injury was just so. If that was on your LFC bingo card, you can cross that one quite early.
Yeah.
Bound to happen at some point. I think the lineup was what I expected it to be. I think the only change I maybe would have done would have been Gomez for Matip, just in terms of recovery pace. But as we kind of saw throughout the game, Gomez, with the litany of injuries he's just had over the years, he's kind of lost a lot of that pace. But that's the only thing I probably would have done. But yeah, if that was as strong as we could go, and I think it was the right call, to be fair.
Yeah, and obviously we were very lucky. Well, I say lucky. Justice prevailed with McAllister, of course, being available for this lineup after that absurd red card. But ultimately, you're right, Chris. The lineup was the lineup. We had to go into that game. And the start, it did not take long for the heart rate and the cholesterol that those samosas were providing to kick in, right?
But I didn't expect. Did anyone expect it to start any other way? We knew they're going to start off like a house on fire. We knew we had to be ready for it. We knew we're going to have total different set of legs in midfield. 3 absolute new guys in midfield.
No relationships there.
Probably experiencing an atmosphere like this for the first time. I mean, I know they've played in all big games, but what I mean is like the pace of the Premier League is second to none. And all of these players speak about the pace and the frenetic nature of it. So I didn't expect anything else, my bro. I knew it's going to start off. They're going to be on our heads. And we're going to have to... I was intrigued to see how we're going to set up. Are we going to really be brave and play Trent inverted so we outnumber them in midfield? I personally thought we're not, and we didn't.
Yeah.
I don't know whether that helped or hindered because we haven't played it much. Obviously, we know we've been playing the inverted role a long time. So maybe it was a case of being a bit rusty because we haven't played the 4-3-3 in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever it was, they had the upper hand, I guess, territorially. But not
it did
really.
feel end to end still, though. We had something about us.
And Luis Diaz was...
Listen, that's something we're speaking about weekly at the moment, isn't it?
Who kept driving us up the pitch. I thought Gakpo started off a little bit slow. But you're right, it was end-to-end with them having more of the territorial advantage, but still no clear-cut chances that I can think of, guys, in the opening exchanges.
Yeah, nothing at all. And I think ultimately, I mean, Manny, I'll come to you for this. The goal that happens, obviously, it's a build-up of a yellow card coming before for Trent for what was, for me, a blatant foul by Gordon on him. And then he reaches out and, you know, there's a shout for another yellow. It felt like Trent was giving into the pantomime that the Newcastle fans were trying to create. And that ultimately led to the goal. Just summing that all up together then, what do you think Trent was thinking and feeling in that 10-15 minute period?
Yeah, I think with regards to Trent in that situation, when he got pushed over by Gordon, compounded by not getting the foul that he should have received, I think in that particular instance, his head just went. Particularly, like I think he didn't even give any regard to the consequences, the whole changes with the refs and everything. I think the guy's head just went in that moment. And then with the card coming out, first card of the game very early on, and for something quite petulant, I think every fan in the stadium, Newcastle related, they've obviously now got a target in terms of the next challenge he makes. And it just happens to be he was up against Anthony Gordon, who I think, generally speaking, from history of watching Anthony Gordon, even when he was playing for Everton, when he comes up against Trent, he does like to give Trent a good go in terms of runs in behind, and he does give him a go. So he has a tough game against.
He's a bit of a prick as well, like a natural. He reminds me a lot of like Craig Bellamy.
Not a little bit. Yeah. Let's say how it is.
Yeah.
Not a little bit.
I mean, he's a very Craig Bellamy type footballer for me. Like that.
That's it.
It's the psychological as well as the football on the pitch that he's trying to get in, right?
That's it, exactly. So then that's also another battle in itself that he's got to deal with. And I think from that moment, he probably regrets throwing the ball away, obviously, as soon as he gets the yellow card, but obviously it's happened now. And then in that second moment, he now has to try and defend a counter-attack. And to be honest, funny enough, with the red card, I thought he was gonna send him off. Personally, I thought when he stopped the game, I thought he was done because of the Tomiyasu one, the kind of set precedent.
I thought the second one was a clear yellow, man. His arm is all the way up there, knocking him down.
Any other scenario is a yellow. If he wouldn't have been yellow before, he would have got yellowed for that situation 1,000,000%. So I think that was just an absolute whirlwind. And I think it's no surprise that it ended up the goal coming through his mistake, because that stadium, once it gets on top of you, once everything's on top of you, it's easy. Your head can go all over the place. We saw what happened to Spurs, for example, last year. Goals are just flying in. You're thinking these are professional guys. Like, how are you even
Villa
professional?
first game of the season. Villa first game.
Yeah. It's like a snowball effect, isn't
Your
it?
head just goes in that.
And Chris, I wanted to ask, like, obviously Manny said about the build-up psychologically, right, where they're in your head. Do you think then that there's any link between the fact that Trent has kind of made 2 mistakes in a row that have cost goals in terms of concentration mistakes? Or do you think the reason for yesterday's mistake was very different to what happened against Bournemouth?
I think the one against Bournemouth, it was just so early on in the game where it's kind of like you're still actually getting to grips with the actual lay of the land kind of thing. But yesterday's was, it's not like you can even call it head loss in a way. It was just like, you're already, like, we've seen good players obviously play wonders on a yellow card. Fabinho being the prime example on that. But I don't know, I just felt like he was overthinking everything, and you can tell when he, like, the touch for the actual goal itself and the mistake. It's just madness. And I think when you know you probably deserve a yellow card, especially for the second one as opposed to the first one, that just seeps into your head and it just knocks you for 6. And you're consistently overthinking. And when you're a player who kind of wants to do everything to the nth degree with perfection, as he does, you're overthinking to the degree where you're just not overstimulated, but you're gonna just make a mistake there and then. And it's just weird that he was in that situation where, you know, Gordon was on him for the entire game. He was on him after, you know, the whole incident. So it's just, you know, I'm not going to worry about him too much. He showed in the first game against Chelsea how good he can be when he's locked in defensively. So yeah, he's gonna have to be on job against Villa because they've got some really good wingers as well.
Can I interject and ask you guys your opinion? Because I asked this yesterday, and I thought it was a brilliant question by myself.
Go on.
I'll ask you like the same question.
You're too humble, Grizz. That's the problem.
You know this Trent lapses of concentration. That's 2 in 2 weeks, right? And I know Chris is saying he wouldn't worry about it too much, but it's not a new thing for Trent. And if he's going to play in this inverted way, he's more central. He finds himself a lot of the time centrally. How do Klopp and Cole? Is it something coachable? That because it's not lack of technique. It's not a lack of want. Like, obviously he doesn't want to do it. What is it? Is it concentration? What is it? What do you put it down to? How do you coach someone at making these mistakes? Or is it a mind control thing? Does he need what does he need?
I
can't continue. I'm sorry. He's a world-class talent, and we know his world-class abilities. But if he's going to play centrally, like we're trying to play, or even if he continues at fullback, these lapses of concentration, they've got to be less and less. I know every player has them. Kyle Walker, one of the greatest Premier League fullbacks, has them. Every fullback has them. They've got to be less and less and less, man.
I would group this, right, to answer that, with a few players that I would put Trent up with in terms of how good they are with passing and using the ball, right? So we've seen the likes of Paul Pogba and Steven Gerrard also have these lapses right in the middle, where when you're so good with the ball, you're thinking about the next thing to do, the difficult thing to do. So that first thing, you're not using 100% of your brain to do the simple part because you're thinking of the hard bit. And I think Trent has that problem, and great players always have that problem of the easy things you switch off a bit because you're ready to do the hard thing next. And I think Trent has suffered twice in the last 2 weeks of trying to do that. It's like, okay, I'm going to control this anyway. Where's the pass? I'm looking up already. And I think that's proven an issue. But Grizz, the problem is, I agree, he's world class, but that same trait that makes him give away the ball because he's too relaxed is also why he's very composed when he receives it. So if you make him start overthinking and panicking, he's not gonna want to play the complicated stuff. So it's a bit of give and take. I don't know what the rest of you guys think.
Yeah, I'd agree. I would agree, to be honest, with regards to Trent. I think as well, I think that giving him the vice captaincy as well this season is a big move in terms of his own application and his own change in role. I think he can be a bit casual sometimes, Trent. I think, as kind of what Mish was alluding to as well, I think his composure to be relaxed in them situations is why he can pick out the amazing passes he does under pressure. But there's always going to be that kind of bite point where goes into casual and then he might lose the ball or he might roll on his foot like we've seen. But I think in that situation with more responsibility, I think with the captain's armband on a bit more on him, he's going to have to be thinking about, okay, I'm a leader in this team now. It's also here to show. So certain things he's going to have to kind of whip himself into shape a bit more often maybe than he would have been asked to before, even though he was a leader before, obviously, in the build up to all this time. But with the other leaders now left as well, he's got extra responsibility. So I hopefully think that will also encourage him to stay focused.
Yeah, and ultimately, seeing it, Manny, you provide a perfect segue there because we're talking about responsibility. So the next incident involves our captain, the most responsible member of our team. I don't know what to think, guys. I have a million different opinions. First, I want to know in the comments, did you think it was a red or not? Taking away your Liverpool hat. If you saw someone else in that situation, would you think it's a foul? Would you think it's a red? Now I present the floor to all of you guys. Grizz, you're rolling your eyes here, so I want to know, where do you sit on that decision?
I think it's a 50.
Yeah, no fence. No,
but it's a genuine fence. It's not like a part-time fence that you just built up like for the time for the summer and then bring it down. And, this is a permanent fence, strong fence, like foundations are deep. Honestly, I'm 50-50.
Everyone so far has said it's a red. Nearly everyone so far.
I think it's the one that it's not a clear-cut red.
No.
What makes it not clear-cut?
What makes it not clear-cut is where it's happened.
Okay.
And is it?
Do you have any doubt that it's a foul?
Initially, I did. Looking back, you can see he catches his ankle.
Well, I mean, you have to get to the ball where it is. You have to take the man first.
Right. So this is my point. If it's consistently given these kind of challenges a red card, which we know it doesn't, which we know it won't.
So you're saying about the sample size, not about this incident, about every time this type of incident occurs, we don't see that decision. Is that what you're trying to say?
No, straight away yellow card and he diffuses the situation. Straight away, the referee brandishes yellow card straight away before he gives him a chance to think it might be a red. This brother done the opposite. He brandished a red straight away. So therefore, no chance of bringing it down. Did you get it? So I don't think he warranted a straight. This doesn't make sense. So cuss me if you want. I don't think he warranted a straight red straight away.
But then are you saying that if they had checked it before any card was given and decided if it was a red, would you agree?
If that went to VAR, if he gave a yellow card for that and they said check VAR, I don't think that would have been overturned into a red. Do you get it? I don't think VAR would overturn that into a red. So that's what makes it dubious for me.
I mean, Krish, Manny, I don't know if you guys are more in tune with the rules here. When you have to make a decision with VAR, does a card have to be given in principle first before they check, or can they check and then give the card they think is fit?
I think an on-field decision needs to be made, and then they need to obviously find out. Yeah, validate. See if what they've seen on the pitch matches up to what they've heard from the official has happened. Then they can have an authority that he's seen what's happened and it's not a clear and obvious error. If there's inconsistencies, then they'll tell them the inconsistencies and then obviously tell them that at the monitor.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, I'll just ask you quickly because I want to get to Darwin eventually. But Krish, for you, red or not, I know that you were very angry. I've never seen you send so many voice notes within a small period of time. So I can tell you felt a lot of anger towards it. Share some of your thoughts. Go ahead, bro.
I come from the school of hard knocks, innit? So you got to be a little bit physical to get the ball. I think in the moment I was, it's definitely not, a red card for
That's
yellow.
what I was like. But have you calmed down since though? Because I have.
Yeah, I watched it back this morning. And I'm like, he clips his ankle on the way through, but I don't know. It's just we leave things so open to interpretation now with refereeing that it's just most of it's just done on the fly. And then when obviously you got Mike Dean coming out with his statements and PGMO mafia and stuff like that, you don't know what an actual correct decision is anymore with stuff like this, because we know the same kind of tackle if you make that 10 years ago, not to sound like an old dinosaur or whatever, it's completely fine. Maybe it's a yellow card and you still get the same free kick. But obviously I can see within today's game how that would be a red card. I don't know. I thought it was very harsh, and I think it was more the emotion that how we were in that time. We're 1-0 down, we're under the cosh. And it's more to do with the fact that you see Newcastle doing the exact same thing with their physicality, how they were, how aggressive they were. Joe Linton in particular, doing his best Terry Funk impression. Rest in peace to the hardcore legend. And then obviously it's flipped around on us, and you're kind of sitting there thinking, you have to level these games up, to the same standard, really. But now I've calmed down. I can see there was a red. I was completely with Virgil, shouting at the referee and kind of telling him to piss off and F off and stuff like that once he was going off the pitch. But yeah, I can see why it was a red now in this case.
Oh,
and I guess the last thing I do want to ask, Grizz, I'll ask you. Ultimately, so much discussion has been about whether it's a red or not. I don't think there's been enough analysis about the fact that it was a really poor decision from Virgil to make a challenge like that when you're so close to him. You can probably just usher him away from goal, like he's completely dived in, and we don't associate Virgil with doing that. Do you have any thoughts on the actual decision from Virgil himself?
Yeah, I've got weird thoughts about this, that, because you're right. Ultimately, it was the wrong decision. Ultimately, it's very unlike Virgil. Ultimately, the usual Virgil, the aura man, would have just ushered him out without having to do anything, right? So he's made a mistake, and I get it, and he's paid for it. But this is my weird thing going forward. I quite like the aggressive Virgil now.
What, front-footed?
Front-footed. So even though he's miscalculated that one, and obviously we've paid for it, lucky we've got a win out of it, I need Virgil to be more active. I need Virgil to be more front-footed. And I quite like that. If this is going to be the captaincy, is going to sort of make him more, you know what I mean?
I mean, he came in with some welly when he made that tackle.
If Virgil starts, listen, check this out. If Virgil starts wellying strikers up and down the country, he's going to intimidate them. You know how Nunez we're going to come on, how he intimidates defenders. If Virgil starts, because Virgil don't really challenge hard. He's not known to beat you up. It's time to start beating people up. And if he has to take a few yellows on the way, no problem. Just don't get any more reds. We can do. I don't want to win. Look, every year we win the Fair Play League Award. I don't want to win it anymore. I don't want to win the Fair Play trophy. No more Mr. Nice Guys.
You're completely right. We've been top of that Fair Play League and not mastering the dark arts for so long. It's incredibly annoying. And Sean in the comments has, made a fantastic point. Kind of last season, especially, we call for Virgil to be more aggressive in what he was doing. The whole aura thing, jockeying players and not being physical is what we kind of attributed to a little bit of his downturn last season. So to see him kind of doing this, and he has been really good in his first 3 games as well, which is the crazy thing. It feels like we're getting the old Virgil back with kind of like that nuance and a bit of nous of the older Virgil too. So if, like Chris said, if he can, keep it up, keep that intensity, just rack up yellow cards, no more red cards. For the love of God, no more red cards. I'd like to see us play a game with 11 men for the God.
Yeah, it'd be nice.
That would be nice, wouldn't it? But okay, I think we can sum up, because I thought the game was quite similar at this point. For the almost half an hour to 40 minutes until Darwin scored, it was Liverpool managing the game with 10 men, right, and staying in it. I personally really, really, really want to shout out Mohamed Salah at this point.
Okay.
I thought technically his pass selection, the quick 1-2s to get out of trouble, suddenly a place where he's holding up back to goal, 2 passes later became a counter-attack for Liverpool. I thought when your team goes down and you need your best player, your world-class player to help carry the team, I thought possession-wise he carried the team a lot. And there were other players who played really well. Manny, we've got a Hungarian in our team who seems to, when we go down to 10 men, this kid seems to be amazing. Slows the game when he wants, dribbles when he wants, passes when he wants. Tell me about him.
honestly, this guy is he's incredible, man. So Szoboszlai I think each game, 3 games now into the season, and I think he's really started fantastically well in terms of his technical ability. I think we all expected that when he signed, so there's not even too much more to say about that. He's very sound, but physically, that's also, so he's an absolute monster. The guy can run for days.
Tackle, isn't it?
Honestly, tackles, duels, everything. The guy's running just as fast backwards as he is to run forward. And like with that 8 on his, I was thinking like with that 8 on his back, you don't even think about the shirt he's wearing at the minute. You're just watching the player. You're just watching him just have fun with it. And I said last week, I'm seeing signs like he might actually surprise people, and he could just end up being our player of the year this season. I don't think many people would have had him up to
that at all.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't think he was expected. I think he was expected to do well and obviously improve our midfield as he definitely has. But I think he's going to be even more influential player for our team than we even anticipated him to be as Liverpool fans. And I'm excited for it. So excited for it.
Yeah, man. And Krish, I think you're a man who loves the inner workings of the club. I think that leadership group appearance is coming very soon for Dominik Szoboszlai.
Aye, man, I'm gonna put it out there. I got a bit of a man crush on him, you know. Just seeing how he operates on that football pitch. Good looking fella too. Whew. I mean, it's what you want. We were screaming out for proper midfielders so much last season that now you finally got one, and you just, you know, this is what normality looks like for most people. But when you kind of get like, the one thing I was skeptical about is the physicality and how could he be, you know, dropping a little bit deeper. He played a lot further forward for Leipzig. He was a lot in those attacking positions, but my God. The guy does not shy away from a tackle. He loves to get physical. He loves to get involved. What was it? He was involved in 20 duels across the course of the game yesterday in dire circumstances, going up against, you know, some really big lads that, you know, Newcastle have got in their midfield. And he's been absolutely unbelievable in these first 3 games. I can't wait for him to, once he gets his shooting boots in and he gets a bit more comfortable from that aspect, I think we're going to have an absolute monster on our hands here, because the personification of that game yesterday was when he would basically dance. Yeah, let's not overhype him, but I mean, I see the vision. What he was doing yesterday when he had the ball, he was just retaining possession when he was basically on the floor, was just absolutely absurd. And yeah, he's got everything about him: work rate, attacking prowess. I'm just really looking forward. If you can't tell right at this point right now, I'm really looking forward to seeing how he progresses in the next few weeks, because we've got a gem on our hands.
Yeah, man. And ultimately, I know some people aren't in the UK, so Match of the Day, the kind of weekly football highlights staple of the UK, highlighted the 3 subs that came on, right? And this is what's going to talk about the goals, right? So we had Darwin, we had Jota, we had Harvey Elliott. I really like some of the roles, Grizz, that these players are forming in the squad. Just because you're coming on doesn't mean you're not important to the result and the team. Harvey Elliott has played so well in 2 sub-appearances and changed the game rather than starting and getting lost. Darwin came on and scored. Jota brought some quality. We accused Klopp a lot of some poor subs last year. There seems to be a change, right?
Bro, every single substitute improved us. I know lots of people were pissed off about Luis Diaz being taken off in the first instant, right? And then the Harvey Elliott, those 3 players that you mentioned, Darwin Nunez could very easily have come on with a strop. He hasn't started any big games. Record early
yellow for you know how it is.
So he could have easily just come on strop, right? Harvey Elliott. We done the Red Fellas last night, and I had to shout him because obviously everyone was talking about Nunez, Szoboszlai, Jota, whatever. Harvey Elliott, like you said, was magnificent. Every time this guy, all you can ask of a young player is to improve every season, every month. Every time he showed, like, shout out Fabio Carvalho, but what I want to see from a youngster is dedication, the right attitude, professionalism, willing to learn and get better and better and better. And he ticks all of those boxes, my guys. Harvey Elliott may not have, and again, this is what I said in the video, so sorry for people that watched it last night, but my vocabulary is not vast enough to say it in any other way. He may not be the ultimate Liverpool player for the rest of his career. He may not be a regular in the Liverpool team for years to come. That's open to debate, what kind of role he eventually takes. But so far, 19 years old, guys? 19? Yeah?
Yeah, 1920.
19 years old, right? And he's improving all the time. That's all you can ask of a youngster. Show the attitude, show the desire, show the need that you want to be there. You want to learn off the big boys. You want to learn you want to graft. He shows me all of that. So I haven't got any time for Harvey Elliott slander. Honestly, I haven't. I haven't got any time for it. You can say you don't think he's good enough to have a permanent fixture in the team moving forward. That's open to debate. That's subjective. But this guy is, for a 19-year-old, showing the right attitude and desire to get better and better. And you're right. Yesterday, he ended up as our DM, guys. You know that? Him and Szoboszlai.
Yeah.
Maturity. But let's talk about the man who changed the game the most, right? The section that everyone, the undercards finished now, guys. We're going to talk about the main event. Manny, a ball gets sent over the top. Liverpool win it on the rebound, on the halfway line. It then gets sent. Botman fumbles with it, and it falls to Darwin Nuñez. In a chance that we saw 3 or 4 times last season against Man City alone. Now, tell me what happened, and tell me what you felt when that happened.
Whoa. When that ball when it dropped, so obviously Jota played the initial pass, and as you mentioned there, it kind of fumbled with, I think it was Botman.
Yeah.
And obviously there's that split second where you realize that, okay, it's broken to Nunes here. And just like you said, I don't know if everyone was like myself, but it's almost like time stood still. I just had flashbacks of just different one-on-ones from last season. I'm telling you, just all running through my head. And I'm just thinking, right, do you know what? And do you know what I thought as well? Like that one-on-one this season, that was literally Darwin Nunez's first, I think that's his first big chance of the season, because obviously he hasn't been playing too much. He's obviously he's done pre-season. I've been seeing him in like the inside training at LFC, like in the street and drills, and he's looking a lot more sharp. He's looking a bit more assured in his finishes. So I think this was the real acid test, like, right, season 2, like, have we seen some improvement? And boy, the emphaticness of that finish was incredible. That is, I promise you, that is what we paid the money for. Just those clips. If we could just get that, if we can see that more consistently, that is the player we bought. And he did it twice. And yeah, I was absolutely elated. I'm so happy for him as well. It couldn't have happened to a better player in the squad in terms of who to be the hero. Because not only would it boost the entire team, but we needed him to have that moment for it just to be just his day. We wanted him to be to feel like the hero, and big for his confidence.
Massive, and that's a great way of putting it. Grizz, they wrote him off. I wrote him off. I'm happy to admit it. I sold the stocks. I wasn't a shareholder when that shot went in. Something's changing. Something's bubbling. And it's Mr. Ribeiro who's doing it. What's happening with Darwin?
Do you know what it is? That was training ground, drill after drill after
repetition, yeah?
That's it.
Yeah. We've all seen inside training videos of our clubs, or club, I should say. We're Liverpool fans right now. And we've seen how they always set up for that shot. And we see, rewind 12 months. Do you remember against Man City, how we dragged those shots?
Yep. Yeah.
Same area. And so the first time when he went through, I had no confidence. I'm going to be honest. I thought, check who it is, Darwin. Yeah. Sit back down, it's Darwin. If it's Jota, different story. If it's Salah, different story.
Yep.
Darwin. If it's Gakpo, different stories. Darwin, yeah. Whatever. That's our chance gone. He bangs it. The second time, I know he's scoring.
Oh, really? You have no doubt.
Yeah. The second time, I know he's scoring because that's Darwin. He's a pure instinctive confidence player. So from moment he struck that first one so cleanly, bro, he was on fire. I knew the second one, we've won the fucking game.
I mean, he nearly made a Jota goal within 30 seconds of scoring the first one.
I'm telling you, man, pure confidence. And you know what? That's credit. And I know there's been scrutiny on Pep Linders and Jurgen Klopp's coaching ability, that they're just passion merchants, etc., etc. Bro, that is training ground coaching. And I believe we're treating him the right way. This is how Liverpool players that were transferred into the Liverpool team were treated. You had to learn the ropes, competition for places, earn your rights. Do you understand? And he's doing that, bro. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't know if it's on your agenda to ask, does he start the next game? I wouldn't. I honestly wouldn't. I wouldn't. I would say Jota, Diaz, and Salah. Jota was magnificent, by the way. I know Nunes gets the plaudits, and rightly so. Jota was magnificent substitution. I know Mush referenced it earlier. Magnificent cameo from Jota as well. So I think Nunes right now is showing me levels in that game, but so are the others.
Yeah. And you've got to earn it, right? It's merit. Just because you've done it one game, these guys have been... We're now 14 games unbeaten, Liverpool. This is not a bad run, by the way. Liverpool are the most informed team in the Premier League, I might add, since they last lost a game. So this is big. And Krish, I think you need to do a lot of the icing on the cake. A talented wordsmith like yourself. That last goal, I mean, the Salah playmaking, the finish. Just tell me about it, man.
I mean, you put it perfectly earlier, just how well Mohamed Salah played kind of in the second half, especially the way he was cutting off passing lanes, the way he was always there as an outlet. The pass, I saw it from a different angle today. The pass for that assist is absolutely on a sixpence. It's an unbelievable ball. And just on the topic of Darwin Nuñez, everyone's got that kind of weird conspiracy theory thing, right? You know, they like to hold on to, you know, people believe in Bigfoot. People believe that, you know, the moon landing was faked, whatever your taste may be. Mine is that Darwin Nuñez can be a 25-goal striker across all competitions for Liverpool Football Club. And yesterday just showed me why you can do that. I mean, Grizz put it perfectly as well. The first one, you're like, I don't know. You get those flashbacks of Man City in the League Cup when he literally the exact same shot. It's that much wide. But he's applied himself. Resiliencia, you know, we overcome hermano. And you know, it's the same shot, same angle, bang, back of the net. And you can see how much that means to him. And
it's such a redemption moment, isn't it? Because it's 100%. The same chance. It is literally like theatre.
Yeah, I mean, what a place to do it in as well. You know, when you've got all the Geordies screaming at you, you're on your back, they're calling you crap. You know, Uruguayan.
It seems like he kind of thrives in that, guys.
He's a sicko.
His mentality.
He's a sicko. You know what I mean?
That's why. Don't doubt him.
Don't doubt that man. Don't write that man off. And again, I wouldn't play him against Villa. And the good thing, and you know why? Because the good thing about this attack, as opposed to every other area of the pitch, we have so many different tools. It's like a Swiss Army knife. We've got different tools for different applications. Yep. Games against some of the bottom teams, absolutely playing them against. When we play Wolves, Darwin plays because he can get behind them and he can do what he needs to. Villa, a completely different thing. So we need people to track back and help out with the midfield. I think Gakpo, Jota, they're going to be solidified for that games. But let's not write this guy off, man. He's going to come key. And, you know, I think he did an interview today and he said, and this is about the dedication that we've seen, obviously. I had a chat with Bielsa over Zoom. He showed me some of my games and corrected some things. It was a very good talk. When you've got guys who are kind of doing their own...
Where's this? I didn't even see this. Is this today?
It was just today, yeah. And it's like, he's obviously talking about his English isn't great. He's doing, obviously, his lessons, invest into that. When you got guys who are kind of treating this like, you know, a research dissertation and whatnot, you know, their PhD. Right?
Mentality.
Exactly. Man. If you can have all the talent in the world, but if you don't apply it properly, you're going to fail. If you have the right mentality to succeed and you're taking in all the knowledge from every single point, you are going to become not an all-time great, but you are going to be a fantastic footballer. And that hopefully tomorrow is the jumping point for what we can see for Nunes going forward.
Yeah, man. And there are other players that we definitely have to shout out. I know we don't have long. Grizz, another man who's been, you know, lambasted by the fans. I think Grizz is Grizz is there. Okay, sorry.
No, I'm good. Sorry.
You're very good at being still, Grizz, I got to say.
Resiliencia.
That's your resiliency, right there. Joe Gomez looked like a man. There was one moment where Matip missed a cross that came in, and Joe Gomez slid in behind and kicked it out for a corner. That was a very mature performance when the captain is missing. I think great moment for Joe as well.
I think you've chosen the perfect word, adjective to describe Gomez's performance: mature. How many times have we looked for Joe Gomez to mature? He's still young, relatively. It's just he's missed so much football. And yeah, man, look, I've been critical of him. Less than Matip, but still critical. And I truly believe if Liverpool were actively planning ahead, I would sell both Matip and Gomez. But as we're not, you know what I mean? People are letting us know that, we'll come back to that super chat. Fabrice Rumo, Joe Gomez to Saudi Etihad is very much on. Would you sell him? Well, he didn't say it's very much on, and it's not very much on at all. But they like him, so it's understandable. There's no way we will sell him. I don't think right now in the situation that we find ourselves, unless we're bringing in 2 centre backs. Because you're not selling Joe Gomez and just replacing like for like, because we're still stuck in where we are. So, but his performance yesterday was encouraging. You got to call a spade a spade. You can't always criticize and then just be arrogant and have not the pride to say no, but he's still shit. Well,
and just wait for bad performances. I think that's.
As I told you so. He was calm. He was. This was Joe Gomez that we knew from 2019-20. This was Joe Gomez that we had such high aspirations of as the potentially England's finest centre back, and obviously we know injuries have killed him, but every time Joe Gomez is one of those guys that you wish the best for. You always wish the best for him.
Lovely kid, right?
Do you know what I'm saying? So Joe Gomez, props to him and Klopp at the end, the embrace, you know what I mean? Because Klopp loves these guys, man. So yeah, props to Joe Gomez. I thought he was superb.
Yeah, man. So I mean,
I want to come to the super chat as well. I don't know if you guys
of course.
Dinesh is a channel member and he's given a super chat. So he's suggesting, would you play 3-4-3 with VVD, Gomez, Konate, the 3 centre backs, Endo sitting in front, Szoboszlai and Trent. I think he means McAllister probably.
McAllister,
yeah. Szoboszlai, McAllister, and Trent in the midfield.
I personally wouldn't want Liverpool to go to a back 3 because we end up having to defend too much in the channels out wide. I don't know what you guys think.
We hate that. We're not very good at that either.
No, I think
basically what he's doing, I think, is leaving out Robertson, right?
Yeah.
I don't think you've got the. I don't think you've got the discipline. I don't think you got the discipline from that left-hand side either to kind of do it either. I mean, Diaz he's good, but he's not industrious. Like how Mane was. He always tracking back and kind of having that impetus there. But yeah, it's an interesting one. Maybe you could like run something out as a dummy test in the Europa League, maybe. But I mean, I personally wouldn't do it just because we solely don't have the personnel for it.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, we're gonna have a lot more conversations, a lot more coming for the season. Manny, fantastic debut. Thank you, my brother.
No, cheers, guys. Thanks for having me as well.
Krish, pleasure as always, my bro.
Thank you, my brother.
Grizz, business as usual.
It's been fun, man. It's been fun. When Liverpool win, we all win, right? Can't go wrong.
Exactly.
Long may it continue, man. Long may it continue. We got. Do you know what? It's mad though, isn't it? Do you remember a couple of weeks ago we were saying after the international break, how many points are we looking for? And we were talking 7, 6. You know, if we take 10 points,
but your hand off. Take it.
We're silencing a few haters, man. Even the hating we have within ourselves. That's what these players are doing this season.
Bro, I'm telling you, man, people were ready to write obituaries, man. They were, Liverpool is dead, this and that, bro. I'm liking this, you know, that Klopp 2.0, Liverpool 2.0, because that was pretty much a new team, man. Like, go through that team.
That was the hardest game of the season. Let's not forget that. I think that was the hardest away game.
We'll see Newcastle out of the way already.
4 points, you take it. 100% you take it.
Come on, man. And we could have, you know, if we scored that second goal against Chelsea, we would have wrapped them up as well. Mad.
That's it, man. But thank you very much, everyone. Make sure you click a like and a subscribe just before you leave us. Thank you very much.
Take care.